Welcome friends, in this video let's discuss about biodiversity, levels of biodiversity and types of biodiversity. First let's look at what is biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of different types of life found on the earth. So the important term here is variety. So it is diversity of life found on the earth. So it is a measure of variety of organisms present in different ecosystems, not confined to only a single ecosystem. So it is a variety of organisms present in different ecosystem. So this can refer to genetic variation, ecosystem variation, or species variation within an area, biome, or planet. Okay, so biodiversity can be of many levels, including on the level of genetic makeup as well as at the ecosystem level or at the specific level. Okay, and let's look at the definition given by the Rio Earth Summit in 1992. So this can be used for writing answers for the mains examination. Look at the definition: variability among living organisms from all sources, including terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystems. Okay, here it includes all the ecosystems, including terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystem, and the ecological complexes of which they are part. This includes biodiversity within the species, between species, and of the ecosystem. So here the biodiversity includes the variation of living organisms in all classes of ecosystem, including terrestrial, marine, and aquatic ecosystem, and at all levels, including species, ecosystem, as well as genetic level. So this is the wholesome definition for the biodiversity. If possible, please remember this. And India is one of the mega biodiverse country because of its species richness and rich biodiversity. So even though India accounts for only 2.4% of the land area, it accounts 7% of the recorded species of plants and animals on the earth, and it is home to 18% of the world's population. So India is a mega diverse country. Let's look at the levels of biodiversity as it was mentioned in the definition. So biodiversity is considered to exist at three levels. Okay, at the genetic level, at the genetic makeup of the organism, and at the species level, and ecosystem or community level. So this is the broader level of biodiversity. First let's look at the genetic level. So it is concerned with the variation in gene within a particular species. Here it is a rose, Rosa sinensis species. So these are all the variations within this species. So these variations are due to different genetic makeup of that species. So this plant has different genetic makeup when compared to this plant. So this is due to genetic diversity of the species. So this occurs within the species, not between the species. These two plants can be interbred because these two plants belongs to the same species. So this is the genetic diversity, and genetic diversity helps the organism to adapt to the climatic conditions, thereby helping them to survive for a longer duration of time. So for example, human beings has different skin color. So there are people of darker skin color and lighter skin color and medium range. So this darker skin color mostly found in tropical and hot climatic conditions of the world helps the human beings to adapt to higher temperature as well as more intense sunlight. So this skin color helps in withstanding more sunlight. But the lighter skin color, which is found in the temperate countries of the world, there is no necessity of withstanding higher temperature because the temperate countries has milder temperature. So this genetic diversity helps in withstanding and also adapting to the climatic changes. So this is genetic diversity at the genetic level. The second is species diversity. This species diversity, it refers to the variety of living organisms on the earth. So this is the variety between the species. So species is an organism which has the capacity to interbreed. Okay, so different species cannot interbreed each other. Okay, so this is the criteria for species. So you can find here variation between these different species of flowers. Okay, and the closely related species, however, in common much of their hereditary characters. For instance, human beings has 98.4% of the genes in common with the chimpanzees. Okay, so this is the species diversity, the diversity between the species. And the next level is community diversity. So this diversity refers to the variability when compared to different ecosystems. For example, aquatic ecosystem compared to terrestrial ecosystem, okay, and tropical ecosystem when compared to temperate ecosystem. So this is the community diversity. Okay, this refers to different types of habitat. A habitat is a cumulative factor of the climate, vegetation, geography of a region. So here there are several kinds of habitats around the world, including coral reefs, grasslands, wetlands, deserts, mangroves, tropical rainforests, a temperate forest. So these are different habitats. So if the diversity exists in these habitats, this is considered as ecosystem diversity. Okay, and next, biodiversity can be measured through two important components. First is based on the species richness, and second is based on the species evenness. Okay, so first let's look at the based on the species richness, how the biodiversity can be measured. Okay, based on the species richness, it again can be divided into three important components. First is alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Here in the alpha diversity, the diversity refers to the diversity variation within a particular area or ecosystem. Okay, here it is usually expressed in the number of species in an ecosystem. For example, if you take the Western Ghats of India, okay, Western Ghats of India, the number of species present in the Western Ghats is considered as alpha diversity. So if there are more number of species present, then that is considered as higher, as having higher alpha diversity. Okay, here the variation within a particular area between different species. So next is beta diversity. So it is a comparison. Okay, it is a comparison of diversity between ecosystems. Okay, and this is called beta diversity. So here the change in the amount of species between the ecosystem is measured. So in the beta diversity, here it accounts for comparison. Okay, for example, here the variation between the diversity in the Eastern Himalayas and Western Ghats, and comparing the diversity between these two is the beta diversity. Okay, so here it is a comparison. And the third is gamma diversity. Okay, this gamma diversity is measure of the overall diversity for different ecosystem within a region. Okay, so it is the overall diversity for different ecosystem within a region. For take for instance again the Western Ghats. In the Western Ghats there are different ecosystems. For example, aquatic ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem. Okay, and if you measure the overall diversity for different ecosystems within a habitat, okay, within a particular place, then that is called gamma diversity. So here this beta diversity refers to between different regions. Here the gamma diversity refers to within a particular region but between different ecosystems. So I hope you understood the measure of biological diversity. And next, the second component is species evenness. The species evenness is measured the proportion of species at a given site. For example, low evenness indicates that few species dominate the site. So species evenness is lower in the temperate regions of the world. Okay, so there are less number of species present in the temperate regions of the world as you move away from the equator, and species evenness is higher in the tropical regions of the world. Okay, and next let's look at some of the important fodder points. Okay, biodiversity is not distributed evenly on the earth. Okay, and here the biodiversity tend to be higher near the equator. Okay, it tends to be higher near the equator, and it is richest at the tropics. As we move away from the equator, okay, as we move away from the equator towards the poles, the biodiversity goes on declining because of the unfavorable conditions for the growth of the plants and animals. Here at the tropics, we have the uniform temperature throughout the year, and temperature is very congenial. But in the in the temperate areas, there is harsh cold climatic conditions which at certain seasons it is not congenial for the growth of the plants and animals. So certain animals go for hibernation, plants go for dormancy. So that's the feature there. And the marine biodiversity tend to be highest along the coast in the Western Pacific. Okay, along the coast of the Western Pacific, not the Eastern Pacific, where the sea surface temperature is highest. Okay, because the higher sea surface temperature, the biodiversity is higher on the coastal areas of the Eastern Pacific, Western Pacific, and this is the fact here. Now let's look at the number of living species of all organisms currently known to man. So these are the only the recorded species. Okay, only recorded species. Among these, more than 50% of the species are found in the insects. Okay, out of 14 lakh 13,000 total number of organisms species, 7 lakh 51,000 belongs to insects. Okay, and higher plants has only 2 lakh 48,000 species recorded. Other animals include 2 lakh 81,000, viruses include 1,000, protozoans 30,800, algae 26,900, and fungi 69,000. Okay, and these are recorded species by the scientists. There are infinite species which are not yet recorded by the scientific community, that must be recorded before they undergo extinction because of the human interferences in the environment. So this is about the biodiversity. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.